Good morning guys from Kanchanaburi. This is Brett here, brettdev.com, and today I've got quite a bit of stuff planned, so hopefully this should be a good video. The plan is to, number one, first rent a motorbike. So I've literally just got into Kanchanaburi. I have no bike, I have no transport, and it is a pain in the ass getting around, so I'm going to get a motorbike first off. Next I'm going to head over to what's called the bridge over the River Kwai. Now, the bridge over the River Kwai is a famous historical site from the Second World War, and it was built by the occupying Japanese in around 1942, I believe. So it's about, I would say, an hour's walk from here, from where I'm staying, on a motorbike, maybe 10 minutes. It's just up this one street. So yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna get a bike, and then I'm gonna head over to there, and we're gonna see what we can find, and we're gonna take a look around. But firstly, before I do that, I need breakfast. The place where I'm staying doesn't actually sell food, but the place next door does. This place is called VN Guest House, and apparently they sell pretty good food. So we're gonna go in here, and we're gonna get ourselves, hopefully, an English breakfast. Wake up. Pretty decent view, right? So this is the VN guest house. This belongs to the restaurant that I'm in, and I am staying just over there in a place called Tara Raft, which is the little yellow building. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so just walk up and come around. So if you ever come to Thailand, the Thais will always tell you, and they're very proud, that Thailand has never actually been colonized. It's one of the only countries in the world that has never been colonized by another country. Although, that being said, it has been occupied several times. And one of the times it was occupied was in 1941, when the Japanese basically came into Thailand as a way to invade Burma, Myanmar, Malaysia and Singapore. And the Thais let them come in, and they let them build railways and all sorts of stuff through Thailand so they could get supplies to invade those countries, with the eventual goal of getting to India so they could invade India. Now at the time, these were British colonies, so it's the Second World War. The Japanese are coming in, they're trying to invade on the side of the Nazis. And that's how we end up with this this bridge that's been built over this river. Now, this bridge was built by prisoners of war, slaves, basically. About 60,000 of them were used to build the railway link from Bangkok into Myanmar. And this was one of the most difficult parts to build. And during the construction of that railway, about 13,000 British, American and Asian prisoners of war actually died building it. So there's some very interesting history here. They have a museum up by the bridge, and you can actually go, you can walk over the bridge. And so as soon as I've finished eating my breakfast, drinking my orange juice and drinking my tea, we're going to head over there, and we're going to go and we're going to check it out. Whoa. Wow, take a look at that. I'm going to be renting a motorbike from a place called Char Car, and the only reason I'm renting it from there is that I just went on Google and it has the best reviews. Like, one tip, if you come into Thailand, people are always worried about getting scammed when they rent motorbikes, like leaving their passports and all that stuff. No matter where you go in Thailand, the best way to know if you're going to get scammed or not is just go on to Google reviews, yeah? Just go on to Google Maps, type in motorbike rental. You'll see probably a dozen in every single town that you're staying in. And just go for the one that's got like 5-star reviews. I mean, this one's got dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews, and you can just read people's comments, you know. I know they're going to want a copy of my passport, but apparently they're not going to want to hold my passport, which is good. I think what I'm probably going to do is rent the bike and then come back to the room, drop my passport off, and then ride to the river. There are a good few bars and stuff, as you can see here. There's a little nightlife scene going on here in Kanchanaburi, which I had no idea existed. But if you subscribe, I'm going to be adding all these videos to a playlist, and I'll probably make a video about the nightlife here in Kanchanaburi. So make sure you subscribe if you want to check out that upcoming video. Another thing, while I'm thinking about renting a bike, if you're worried about getting scammed, whenever you rent a bike, take out your phone and just take photos of the bike, and if there's like any damage to it or anything like that. And most places will be absolutely fine with you doing that, and they know that you've done it, and then when you bring the bike back, nobody can say, oh, you caused this damage or you caused that damage, because you have photos of the bike prior. Something really important to remember to do whenever you are renting a bike in Thailand. Can I rent a bike? How much are they?
1 day 250 baht.
Okay. How much is this one?
155, 500 baht.
500 baht. Okay.
For 1 day.
And this one is 250.
300 baht.
300 for the new one. Okay. So here we are, guys. Right behind me is the JEATH War Museum, and this is the museum dedicated to the prisoners of war that helped build the bridge. I'm going to go in here in just a second. I'm going to show you around. We're going to take a look. But right before we do that, just up here is the actual bridge itself. So let's go for a wander. Let's take a walk. Like I said before, this is the end of the street, and this street goes all the way down there for about, it took me 10 minutes on the bike to ride, and it would take probably, I'm guessing, 45 minutes to walk it. I'm staying at the end of that street. That's where I rented the bike down there, and you just have to come all the way to the end of this street to get to the bridge. It looks like they've got a bunch of different like market stalls over here. Lots of different shops. Types of jewellery. Looks like everything is just jewellery for some reason. Here is the bridge. I'm pretty sure a couple of times a day an actual train rolls through here, from what I've been told. I don't know how true that is. It's pretty busy. There's quite a few people here. Little boat trips down here will take you up and down the river. Now I imagine this is probably a lot quieter than it would be if there wasn't a global pandemic going on. But Kanchanaburi, not being too far from Bangkok, also attracts a lot of like domestic tourists as well. I noticed that my hotel room where I was staying was almost fully booked, and that would all be with you know, tourists from Thailand, from Bangkok, coming here for the weekend or a couple of days break. Looks like over here you've got some old American military vehicles. I'm going to head back because I really want to get into that museum and check it out. And I'm conscious that I only have so much battery on this camera, so unfortunately the American cars are going to have to wait. Thank you. One cup. Thank you. Cup. Okay guys, so you just saw it's 50 baht to get into this museum, which is pretty cheap. And yeah, let's go have a look around. Mercedes-Benz, right out of the Second World War. I think I'm actually the only one here. There is absolutely nobody about, just me. It's called the Jewelry and War Museum, so it might have explained why that market back there was selling tons and tons of jewelry. And it's not very clear which way to go in here. I guess you kind of just wander around wherever you want. There's no signs saying this direction or that direction. So we got Einstein, Truman, General Douglas, Stalin, Winston Churchill. I don't think that looks anything like Winston Churchill. And De Gaulle, Yamashita, old Adolf, Mussolini, and Hideki Tojo. Wow, this is so cool. I'm like the only person here. Got like the whole place to myself. Look at this, I've got photos of all the different battles. And right behind me, check this out. Tiny little gun. Got all the guns from the Second World War. Amazing. Rifle, bayonet. And here we've got all the uniforms and the samurai swords. It was well known that in the Second World War, the Japanese, when they would fight, they would always carry a samurai sword with them as part of their tradition. And this reads, in this glass monument, the remains of 104 of the prisoners who worked as labourers during World War II are kept on the second level, and the remains of another 2 of them are kept on the third level, making a total of 106. As you can see there, guys, some human skeleton. And here you've got photos from the war of the American prisoners building the train. That was interesting. I didn't realise they had that, 106 dead people in a box. This is a ironwood boat that the Japanese army used for transportation during construction of the river Kwai Bridge during the Second World War. So old wooden boat full of Thai money for some reason. And a cool little mural here of the bridge actually blown up and people swimming in the water, as you can see over the top. Fighter planes and bombers with the American flag. In 1945, the Americans and the Allies actually came back and bombed the shit out of the bridge and made it pretty much unusable. It was only about 15 years later that the Thais kind of got some of the track up and running again. But yeah, so they did all that, they killed all those people trying to build that bridge, thinking they were going to win, and just a couple of years later it was all for nothing because it got blown up. So this sign says boats used by Japanese soldiers in their escape through Kwai, Noi to Burma after unconditional surrender by the emperor. And these are the wooden boats. Here you got a bunch of really old stuff, an old telephone, all this stuff, 70, 80 years old. Old bicycles, old helmets, fuel tanks, actual hats that people would be wearing. Just think, all of those helmets at one time, 80 years ago, had a Japanese person was wearing, marching around this area, wandering around, building a train track with prisoners of war, torturing people. And now they're all here in a box. And this is the really cool part, because here as you get towards this end part of the museum, they have all of these figurines that are built, life-size figurines. It's creepy. So this is a horse cart that the Japanese used to drive between the camp and the market during the war. What's interesting is during that time when the Japanese occupied this area, I would imagine the Thai markets that we're all so used to probably would not have been that much different. It would have been the Thais that were, you know, selling the food and cooking the old Thai dishes for the Japanese, who were allied with the Nazis. Meanwhile, they had prisoners of war from America, kept in conditions like this, and building this train track. This is kind of a reconstruction of what it would have looked like. Now Thailand is interesting. They took an interesting position in the Second World War because they didn't officially choose a side. Although they were occupied by Japan, it was called Siam back then. It wasn't called Thailand. And I don't know too much about it. about how the politics played out between the two. But there is an interesting book that I saw on Amazon the other day that I was going to buy and listen to, which explains how the Thais were allying with the Japanese and the Nazis, but then secretly doing things for the Americans. So they kind of, essentially they played both sides and tried to stay out of the conflict, if you will. Like I say, there was no real war fought here. So there you go, guys. I think I'm going to wrap the video up there. That is the bridge over the River Kwai and the museum that shows you all about how they got it built and what went into it. Like I said, it's an awesome spot. If you come to Kanchanaburi, you should definitely come and check it out. You probably will, because it's the main attraction. And if you like this video and you want to see more stuff like this, then like I said, I'm going to be putting up a playlist. So hit subscribe, and you're going to get all my future videos from Kanchanaburi that are coming up. So until next time, guys, this is Brett, brettdev.com, and we're out. Peace. Yeah?
COVID.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yes, everything stopped. Oh.
Stop.
3 months. Yeah. You have people come from Bangkok? Thai people?
Bangkok. Same.
Same. Oh.
Thailand. English. No have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Everywhere same.
I don't go home.
Yeah.